What's up? Welcome back to Nowstalgia. Dave here with a review of Normani's debut album, Dopamine. Normani, of course, former Fifth Harmony member. It's been a long road to the debut album from Normani. As everyone knows, it's been a big talking point in pop music, and just on its surface, it is funny to reflect on the fact that Fifth Harmony broke up in 2018, and Normani's now finally giving us the debut album here. You know, in between this long stretch of time, it's been a lot of starts and stops from Normani. You've had really big features on massive songs, like Love Lies with Khalid and the Sam Smith song, but even those songs are both pre-pandemic. It's been a minute. You had the Motivation single, kind of a boppy Max Martin song from Normani back in 2019, seemingly the start of a rollout that didn't go anywhere. And we've now learned that Normani had to take a step back from music in a certain sense because she had some serious family issues going on the medical front with both of her parents. So you understand that regard. Nonetheless, it is funny to, again, put us in this point where Camila Cabello is about to do a complete sonic reinvention for her next album, and yet we're just getting the beginning of the Normani, solo career. It is just funny, like, where the two of them have gone, to say nothing of the rest of the Fifth Harmony former members. I came into Dopamine with an open mind, knowing, Normani has had some personal issues delaying her music, and she's been self-aware about what's happened to this point. It's not like she's been oblivious to it. That being said, I didn't think her debut album, Dopamine, really had a lot to offer. I found a lot of this music, most of this music, pretty dull, pretty uninteresting. A lot of it has to do with the conception to me, where like the mixing on this album often drowns out Normani's vocals. We're really living in this mid-tempo range, and yet I feel like a lot of times it's quite washed out, and Normani, who has a good voice, she's like amazing vocalist by any means, but the beats aren't doing her any favors. Like, she's not standing out vocally on most of this music. And I understand that she's clearly going for, kind of a throwback R&B vibe for the most part. And there are some highlights on the project, like the song Little Secrets, like the song Insomnia. Take My Time stands out because it's actually kind of playful and fun and a bit funky. But a lot of the other songs, man, like, they just don't really go anywhere. It's just funny that, like, this is what we end up getting after such a long wait. Clearly, she didn't want to go down the road of her single Motivation, which was so poppy and boppy. She said that was too easy. Fine, I respect it. That being said, I just didn't think Dopamine really did a lot, unfortunately. The first song, Big Boy, kind of interesting. It's definitely half a Stara song. Shout out Stara, getting a big look here. Of course, she's written for big A-list people for years at this point. The Normani performance, though, kind of interesting for its aggression, although it is quite auto-tuned. Track 2, though, like, this is a song that's okay, like, but the hook is just pretty bland still, and just, to me, it's just pretty, like, low tier as far as this goes. Then you have a chopped and screwed outro, seemingly for no reason. Like, there was nothing interesting about the song to that point to really justify that, in my opinion. Lights On, I thought was okay. Beat gets a bit more interesting, but this is a great example of, like, the vocals just getting really washed out with the mixing. Take My Time, as I mentioned, more fun and funky. The beat's pretty energetic on the chorus with the keys, probably the best beat here. Insomnia, really enjoy the bass, and the guitar outro sounds not bad. Candy Paint, one of the singles, and the percussion's pretty cool. Just, again, it's a bit different vibe for the rest of the track list there. Distance, I think Normani's performance is quite strong. On Distance, probably her best performance on the whole album. But the mixing, again, is a bit messy. There's a bit too much going on. It's distracting from Normani's vocals, and I think it's just a bit of a shame because it's pretty good otherwise. I mentioned Little Secrets. I think that one's really good because, like, the beat really progresses as the song moves along. That's pretty fun. And then, kind of funny enough, at the end, you have the last song, Wild Side, featuring Cardi B. Of course, this song came out in 2021 as one of those stops and starts Normani singles that we've been talking about. Interesting that this still made the album and a song like Motivation does not. Of course, Motivation wouldn't make sense on this album, so I get it, but including Wild Side nonetheless. Two other features, of course, you have Gunna on 159. Gunna's been on a bit of a hot streak with features lately, although I didn't really enjoy this song too much. And then Tantrums featuring James Blake, pretty inspired for a duet from Normani. I think Blake is good, Normani is good, but again, the song just doesn't really do too much for me. It's just kind of like thrown together, two verses. So yeah, like I've been pretty negative on this, and I was coming in with an open mind because I think Normani as a pop artist, as an R&B artist, has been very undefined, right? So like the expectations were there. I didn't have any expectations. I was curious to hear what this would be, and yet I just didn't feel like this really lived up to any hype. And even taking the hype and the weight out of it, I just found it a bit dull. And would I have liked more songs like Motivation? Of course I would, because I enjoy that kind of big tent pop stuff. But comparing it to recent R&B works, I just don't think this really compares either. So, bit disappointing. I'll be curious if Normani jumps into the pop world and becomes a much more active and regular participant. I think her fans would certainly want that to happen, no matter how they feel about Dopamine. So we will hope that continues. Of course, we'll be keeping our eye on the Camilla album coming out in a few weeks. Very curious on what that sounds like. And yeah, let me know. Did you like Normani's Dopamine more than me? If so, please let me know why. And for more music reviews, subscribe. And I'll see you next time.